Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai Aye.
Teruvan
I hope
Saranai.
you are doing well, Aye.
Are you all there? I mean, everyone who is supposed to join, are they all there, or should we wait another few minutes? Or
I think not everyone is here because I can see only 15 participants. And
should we wait? Or
also, yeah, Venerable Lufap is here. And
should we wait for 5 minutes? Or
yeah, and it is on recording already. Venerable has started the recording.
yeah, that's fine. So should we start or we should wait for a minute?
Venerable, Aye, Lufap, please guide us whether we should start or we should wait.
Yeah, please start the class. We don't need to wait. Only when the teacher is here, and then some of the students are here, we should start on time.
Yeah.
So we invite Venerable Bodhicitta to start the class. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I would like to take permission from the senior bhikkhunis, pardon me, and dear venerable bhikkhunis and samaneris and everyone. So good afternoon to all of you. So today we are going to discuss something very important about this dependent origination called the Paticca And I actually would like to know how many of you managed to listen to the Dhamma talks that I posted about 2 weeks ago. My teacher Bhante Punnaji's sermons, because that will really help us to navigate this smoothly. So, but I just want to know whether all of you had the chance to listen to the talks and also that you all made an effort to understand it. So I can be more help to you to clarify a lot of things and we can go through it. So may I ask maybe if you all could switch on the cameras and let me have a chat with all of you. So if I could ask first, I'm seeing the Venerable Dhamma. Okay, now the first one is Bodhi Magga Samaneri that I can see. I'm just going with my screen, okay, from the top. So how about you, Venerable? Okay, now the first one is Venerable Bhikkhuni Sakya Dhammadina. Venerable, how did you go? Did you manage to listen to some of those talks that I posted? Venerable Bhikkhuni Sakya Dhammadina. Are you there? Okay, what about Bhikkhuni Dhamma? The one who is appearing the next name. Will you be able to unmute? And maybe even if you could switch on the camera, it's good for us to know and see as well, because some bhikkhunis have tried to contact me. So I'm quite happy to help you all personally as well, but I would like to see the faces. So can we have the cameras on and the mics on for the moment? So I'll call the name and, okay, very good, Bhikkhuni I haven't seen the, who is that? Now, the thing is that the names changes, no, time to time. Why is that? How am I going to go about now? Anyway, if I say a name, I'll go with that. So we know, otherwise the names keep on jumping. Now it's Venerable Sayale Kusalachari. So Venerable, did you manage to listen to some of the Dhamma talks that I posted? Did you manage to read the?
I'm sorry, Venerable, I couldn't do it yet. I'll do soon.
Okay, you can do it. Never mind. All right. What about the next one? Venerable Dhamma Jutimati?
Yeah. I'm sorry because I didn't receive the send out. I was just admitted last week.
Oh, okay. So I will probably I'll
Can I
ask Venerable Dhamma Dinna to send the Dhamma sermons to your WhatsApp, because no point we posting again to the group, but we will send it to
delete my WhatsApp?
you. I will ask Venerable. Yeah, thank you. And what about Bhikkhuni? Now Venerable Dhamma Jutima, Venerable Bhikkhuni Buddha Karya, Buddha Kanya.
Yes, Venerable.
Yes, Venerable. Did you manage to listen to the Dhamma talks, the homework that I gave?
Yes, Venerable.
You did.
Yeah.
Very good. So, was there any questions or anything that particularly you want to ask? Any point that you didn't understand, or because that view can be a bit challenging, but did you understand it, or is there any questions that you would like to ask? So after I talk to everyone, so I can start answering the questions, we can start the session from there if someone or anyone has any questions. So do you have any questions, Venerable, or did you understand the essence of it?
No, any question. If some meaningful question, I will ask after some.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bhikkhuni Dhammadina, did you have time to go through the Dhammadesana, Venerable? How about the one next? Bodhi Magga Samaneri. Can you unmute, Venerable?
Yes, Bhikkhuni. So I'm very sorry. Maybe I missed your questions. I'm sorry, Vinana.
Yeah.
Bhikkhuni.
Did you manage to listen to the Dharma sermons? I have posted 2 and also the whole channel. If you all want to even listen to extra, did you all manage to listen to them? Did you find time to listen to the Dhammadesana that I have
Yes,
posted?
yes, thank you, Bhikkhuni.
So you listened to Bhante Punnaji's talks, did you? So
Yes,
do you have any questions? Did you understand the whole thing, or did you have any questions? Any unclear points?
thank you, Bhikkhuni. So maybe I think I will ask later, Bhikkhuni.
Okay. Thank you. Venerable Pooja said she hadn't. What about Saddhamita? Venerable Saddhanimita? Venerable, can you unmute your mic, please? Venerable Saddhanimita? Can you unmute your mic, please, Venerable?
Yes, Venerable, I'm here.
Thank you. Yes. Did you manage to listen to Bhante Punnaji's explanation on Paticca
So sorry, Venerable, I haven't got a chance to do that because recently I'm moving from one country to another. So this week
Okay.
might be a little bit packed for me. I will try to listen within this week, Venerable. Yeah, my deep
Okay.
apologize for that.
That's all right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome.
Yes, yes, yes. Hopefully, so when we give a homework, hopefully you'll be able to find time. But if you all have exceptional, cases like this, it's fine. But yeah, try to listen to them if you can afterwards also. Venerable Arya Mangala.
Namo Buddhaya. I don't know which
Namo
camera I'm on.
Buddhaya.
Okay, here. No, sorry, I didn't get to watch the video.
Okay. So thank you. And I think we went through everyone. I think now, is there anyone I missed? No, right? Okay.
Venerable,
So,
Arya
yes,
Vimalani here.
yes, Venerable. Sorry if I have missed you. Did you
Yes,
manage
yes,
to
yes, I did,
listen to
Venerable.
them?
Yes, I did.
You did listen to them. Thank you so much. Did you understood the whole thing, or did you have
Yes,
any
I do.
questions
I do
that you want to
understand.
ask?
I do understand, even though the terms used, some of the terms used are different from what we used to read from the Nikayas, but I do
Yes.
understand.
That's very
Because
good.
I had been following his talks also.
Yes, very good, very good, very good. Because at the end, we need to catch the essence of what Buddha
Right.
was teaching and what Buddha was trying to, help us with.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
yes, very good. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So hopefully I will go through, but hopefully after this session, maybe you all will have time to go back and have a look. The talks by the Venerable Bhante Punnaji on Paticca Samuppada. I have specifically posted 2 talks that it will help you to easily digest this. But there is more talks, so you can listen to them as well. So if you understand this, we will get closer to realizing the Dhamma within. Because no point we keep on studying and only studying from the book and the education, and we are going to borrow the bookish knowledge. We need to, whole point we got ordained and why we are practicing Dhamma is to realize this. So at some point in our life, we have to gain that realization. We have to aim for that. So hopefully these talks will help you to come to these realizations. So I hope you will find time to listen to them, because more than me, Bhante Punnaji's English is very clear and very precise, because he have studied the teachings from when he was young, and he was on a research about trying to find out what Buddha exactly taught, the original teaching of the Buddha, because Bhante also found many people teach in different ways. So Bhante wanted to know exactly the original teaching of the Buddha, what Buddha taught, which I also was in a search like that. So this is why I clicked when I met Bhante. And then Bhante also have 2 PhDs. So he also have done parallel religions, philosophy, psychology. So I also have that type of a background, like on psychology and neuroscience and biomedicine. So when I also understood kind of more and more the neuroscience, how the brain works, how the eye works, how the mind works, I could see very clearly what Buddha taught is actually within here, and we need to understand this, how this body, the brain, these things works. Then it's easy to understand what Buddha was pointing out. So I also kind of in a very similar way understood what Buddha was teaching, how Bhante Punnaji has kind of explained, and it deepened my understanding, and it answered a lot of questions. So that's why I became a disciple of Bhante Punnaji. So when he teaches, he has this comprehensive knowledge about what the psychology talks about, what the neuroscience talk about, what how the mind works, what the philosophers point of view and all that. So then he tried to find the exact word to try to get the exact meaning to that Pali word. At the beginning, when people translated these things into English, and this is what we are using today commonly, I guess they were very limited. But now that having access to a big range, so Bhante doesn't like to just use the common one for the sake of using it. The whole point is to understand what Buddha taught. So having all that understanding from that whole range, he tried to use even it's going to be a new word, but if that is what's going to explain what that Pali word means, he will use it. So I really like that, because no point we going in a blind angle for a long time. As long as we are getting the exact meaning of that Pali word, and we could comprehend what Buddha taught, I think that's going to actually help us. So this is why I took his kind of way of translation. And before I go into it, then I know it'll become like a big new thing. That's why I wanted you all to listen to Bhante, so you get kind of familiar, and also you see it. But anyway, hope you all had a chance to read the notes, so we can discuss this. So, Paticca Samuppada means everything that we experience happens as a result of causes and conditions coming together. Hetung Paticca Sambhutang. And then when the causes and conditions are not there, the resulting thing also fades away, falls. It also vanishes. Hetum paticca sambhutang hetu bhanga nirujjati. So everything is dependent on one another. Nothing arises without being dependent, except what we call the state of the liberated state. Liberation from all the dependent things is called the nirvana or nibbana. Except that everything else is dependent on depending things. So this Paticca Samuppada has been spoken in 16 angles in Abhidhamma, and also in if you look into the suttas, that Buddha had taught it in 16 different ways of looking at certain things. But the one we use commonly, that Paticca Samuppada, is the topic is eva me tassa kevalassa dukkha khamdassa samudayo hoti. So in that particular one, what Buddha is trying to show is how the mass of suffering come to be. Samudaya is the cause. How does it come to be? Eva me tassa kevalassa dukkha khamdassa samudayo hoti. This is how the dukkha arises. So this is the Paticca Samuppada we commonly use. And if someone had not read the other things, other ones, we think this is the only one. No. I'm sure you may have come across at least 2, 3. But then this also gets explained in different ways. How the person understood. So this is being broken into 16 lifetime to explain about 16 lifetime, about 12 lifetime, about at least 3 lifetime, this life and the life after. So like that, this is being interpreted and taught in different ways in different schools. But the point is, it's very clear, it's not talking about a punarbhava or punabhavo. It's about eva metassa kevalasa dukkha khandasa samudaya hoti. It's very clear from the from that setting that Buddha summarizing it, saying this is how the dukkha arises. So where does the dukkha arise? We need to understand. Now, if it was previously about few lifetime ago, then it's going to be very difficult for us to understand how the Four Noble Truths work in this moment, because we have to understand the Four Noble Truths about the dukkha. So we have to understand it here and now. Now, if it's going to be in few past lives, first then we will have to develop Pubbe Nivasanusati Jnana, to see what happened before, and then only we will be able to see this for ourselves. Until that, we may not be able to see it. So this is why it's very important to understand that this is something that happens every moment. The minute we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, when the six senses are working, when they get stimulated, they start to work. They start to produce seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. The minute it starts to work, in Aditya Pariyaya Sutta, and there's few suttas where Buddha says your eyes are on fire, the ears are on fire, nose is on fire, tongue is on fire, body is on fire, mind is on fire. That's because every minute, as long as we are ignorant of what's happening in that moment, when these senses are stimulated and when they start to produce this nama rupa, when the rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana, this is how the five aggregates is that activity. It's the five aggregate that produces our experience. So the minute that we start to experience, that is when, if we are experiencing it with avijja, without the knowledge of, or without understanding of this, what is really happening, that anicca dukkha anatta aspect, if we miss that, the experience, seeing it from that Four Noble Truth angle, or seeing how the suffering arose, and it is a suffering that arises and suffering that, fades away. But because we don't see that, why do we say every moment that when we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think, the suffering arises? We experience things either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So when we experience things, if it's pleasant, the pleasant feeling also depending on a lot of things. And if one cause changes, that pleasant feeling goes. So the disappearing of the pleasant feeling is dukkha for us, because what we want is all the time to experience a pleasant feeling, if possible forever. But we can't. It's not under our control. We can't have just the pleasant feeling all the time. So when the pleasant feeling changes, it becomes stress for us. It becomes dukkha for us. It leads to suffering. So it's called viparinama dukkha. And the dukkha, when the unpleasant feeling arises, straight away we feel disappointed. We feel dissatisfied. We feel stress. We suffer. So straight away, when the dukkha or the dukkha vedana or the unpleasant feeling arises, we start to stress. We start to suffer. So that's called dukkha. And when the neutral feelings, a lot of the feelings that we experience throughout the day are neutral. So therefore, we don't like that experience, or no, we push away. We don't dislike. It's neutral. So we are neutral. But the thing is, in that experience, we don't see who is experiencing it and what is experiencing, how this experience happening. So what happens in the neutral feelings, this is where the moha arises, delusion. We are deluded and we create this dichotomy where we come to a conclusion, oh, I am the one who is experiencing and what I experience is out there. So a subject and an object comes into the scene while we experience, if we don't have that vijja, or if you're not seeing this with the pajanati, means from wisdom, prajna eye. If you are not seeing this from the prajna eye or from the wisdom or from the vijja, then we think the experience gets divided into two. One side here, ajata, me, I, me, myself gets created, and bahida. And what we experience, we think it's out there. So this two sides starts to develop. So this is where the I starts, the person starts, the myself starts. So it is that the reaction to that neutral feeling is called the sankhara dukkha. Because it is from the sankhara itself we gone wrong. And this leads to mass of suffering because we created the I there and a world out there. So no matter what we experience, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, it leads to stress and suffering. You can see that. Viparinama dukkha, dukkha dukkha, or the sankhara dukkha. So there's no escape. So this is why Buddha is saying, instead of allowing this process to go on and on and on, working, let the eye work, let the ears work, let the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind. If we just let them work on and on and on, like watching TV, listening to music, whatever not, if we keep them busy, all it does is it produces, keep on producing this rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana. So if we collapse it, nama rupa. If we expand it, panchakanda. So keep on producing this. It takes a lot of energy from the body and the brain, and a lot of neurons have to fire. Bzz, 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 bzz. The nerves go under stress. So itself creates a lot of stress to the nerves. It's not relaxing. It's stress. It's not resting. It's, brings the stress. So this is why Buddha encourages to quieten down, to be silent, to not to use the senses unnecessarily, but to control them, but to discipline them. Only use when it's really needed. So we can reduce the amount of work and the stress unnecessarily that we have to experience. So Buddha points out that these six senses are on fire. When it's working, it's on fire. Because all the time when it produces the experience, either seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and cognizing, it's like, setting something on fire. The nervous system is on fire. A lot of energy gets wasted. So in Karaniya Metta Sutta also, Buddha encourages one to relax, to rest, not to be burdened with work and projects and all that, but to rest and relax. So we need to give this rest, relaxation, and silence. It is in that it gains a lot of energy, and we'll be able to see what's happening within if we rest it enough. So we shouldn't engage the five senses unnecessarily. And it's like you putting more and more logs onto a fire, as already started. Our aim should be to take out all the logs and let the fire extinguish. When the fire extinguishes, naturally there is coolness. There is no stress, no suffering, but coolness is there. But at the moment, what we try to do is put more and more logs into the fire and then set the fire more onto high, high and high, and then put the fan and try to cool down. But as long as the cause is there that is burning, we'll never find proper comfort, proper sukha. They're all temporary things. But what Buddha is saying, look into the cause why we are stressed, remove that. That is this Vedana Paccha Tanha, Tanha Paccha Upadana, Upadana Paccha Bhava. In Paticca Samuppada, very clearly Buddha shows when we experience things, that is when this reaction comes, Vedana Paccha Tanha. So it is that we upadhana, that we personalize. The reaction to the pleasant feeling we personalize. I like it, so the I comes again. And reaction to the unpleasant feeling, or I don't like it, so that I comes again. We personalize it. Even the neutral feeling, I breathe, like that, the I comes. So it is the Sankitena Pancha Upadana Kanda Dukkha. It is this Upadana, personalizing this as I, me, myself. And at the end, what happens? The I, the seeing happens through using the I and the brain and the nervous system and all that. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññāna tinnan sangati passo. So when this is happening, it's using this body. So at the end of the day, what we really personalize is the body as, oh, here I am. This is my hand, my eye. So when we personalize this panchakanda, because it's the activity of this, fathom long body, and in the brain, we personalize it that, this body, here I am, like that. So that is called the Sakkaya Ditthi. When we personalize this activity, at the end of the day, what happens? Swakaya. We have taken this body to be me, I, myself. This is my body. That's where everything goes wrong. This is how the Sakkaya Ditthi comes, with this avidya. And if you can understand this part, you will be able to somehow understand how to get the deep understanding that we can get rid of this Sakkaya Ditthi. We can understand it's a wrong concept. We were wrong, we were misled, or we didn't see it right. The body is body. That's why Buddha says to do Kaye Kayanupassi Viharati. Body is only a body. So contemplate the body as the body, because for us now, body, mind. Here I am. But Buddha is saying when the body is in movement, when you go, gacchanto va gacchami iti pajanati. Just sees as not I'm walking. Walking is just walking. Lifting up is lifting up. Moving is moving. Like that. So you will start to see body for the body, without I, me, myself, mine in it. So that Satara Satipatthana technique is there. Kaye Kayanupassi Viharati, Vedananu Vedananupassi Viharati, Chitte Chittanupassi Viharati, Dhamme Dhammanupassi Viharati. That technique is there to see these activities for what that is. Removing I from the equation. So when we do that, we will be able to come to that realization. We will be able to see it for ourselves, whether this body is I, me, myself. So the minute we can understand that we can get rid of the Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya Ditthi is a Mithya Drushti. When you get the Samyak Drushti, that's when this Sakkaya Ditthi goes away. So, in order to do that, we need to understand this to certain level. This Paticca Samuppada, we need to understand it in a Nyayatmaka. I mean, like in a, at least in the theory wise, we need to understand, okay, this is what it is. And then we start to look at things in that angle. Yoniso Manasikara in that right angle. Like when we see the mirage, we see water. But when someone teaches, there is no water, it's just an illusion, because depending on the different different temperature levels, that gets created like water, but there is no water. So when someone says that to us, we should be able to take that hypothesis as a hypothesis and test it for ourselves. Then we will find the answer. We are not going to take it or believe it in blindly. There is no water. We need to test it to check whether there is water. Then we find, oh, there is no water. Then we can understand, okay, that's what has happened. Like that. This personalizing this body as mine, here I am, making it the I, me, myself, and my thing. Buddha is showing in the Paticcasamuppada how it happened. So after we hearing it, we need to contemplate it on our own. Then only we will come to the realization, true, hair is hair, nail is nail, kesa, loma, naka, danta. That's one angle to see this. And then Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, that's another angle to look at this. Like that, there is many angles to look at this, try to penetrate into this to see the body for the body. So we start to see, oh yeah, true. So Yoniso Manasikara is looking at in that right angle. Buddha had pointed us the right thing. So we need to now not think about I, me, myself, and keep on living in that delusion. But we need to start to wake up from that. We need to start to understand what Buddha was teaching. Then we ourselves will be able to see it. If we don't apply this and if we don't practice this yoniso manasikara and start to see the nama rupa udayavaya, means Buddha is saying, every time when we have experience, see that is nama rupa. That is the activity of the rupa, vedana, sanya, sankara, vijnana, the panchakanda in action. Rupa in one side, the mental image, and the other activity is identifying it. So identifying it is a part that happens with Vedana, Sanya, Sankara. Vijnana cognizes this. Nama and Rupa together. So Buddha is saying, if someone wants to become a stream mentorer, Buddha is saying, look into the Nama Rupa, Udayavaya of Nama Rupa, how the Nama Rupa arises, how your experience fades away. Look into that. Samudaya Vaya. How does it come to be? How does it goes away? And then that person asks the question to move forward and how to become a once returner. Buddha says, look into the Udayavaya of Nama Rupa, how the Nama Rupa rises and passes away. And then that person asks how one becomes an anagami, no returner. Then Buddha says, penetrate into the Nama Rupa, Udayavaya. So how the Samudayavaya happens. And then what is the technique to become an Arahat? Buddha says, look into the Nama Rupa Samudayavaya, Udayavaya. How things come to be, how things move away. It's not just arising and pass away. We need to see what caused it. It's about understanding this dependent origination. So we need to see what caused it and understand this. That is when we will see. It is the Paticcasamuppada that's behind the arising and passing away of the Nama Rupa. So when we understand this, someone becomes an Arahat. It's a gradual process, level by level. Your understanding will increase level by level, level by level. So this Paticcasamuppada explains how did we created this with that ignorance, because we didn't know how the things were working. In that ignorant way, how we personalize our body as my body, and you just can't have my thing without an I. So we had created the I, and that I, because it's not visible, became an immortal thing. So So Buddha pointed out, no. This is just, these activities are going on. And that activity, the characteristic of that activity is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca means they only come to be when the proper causes and conditions are there. If they are not there, it's not there. Yankinchi samudaya dhamma, sabbantang nirodha dhamma. Or from another angle, hetum paticca sambhutam, hetu bhanga niruchyati. This is how everything comes to be, with the proper causes and conditions coming and supporting, it comes to be. When that is not, that is not. This is not. So, Buddha pointed out, this is how we have personalized this body. And when the body is personalized as I, me, myself, then this body has a birth. So we start to talk about a birth of the body as my birth. And then this body also has an ending, a death. So then that body of the death becomes my death. I'm going to die, or my death. So that is also get tied into this equation. And so in between that, this birth and the death, there is jara, vyadi, and they also we personalize. So when you the nature of the body is after it's being born, it'll go through, time series. It'll just grow and then decay, and then it'll come to a place where the decaying process is more, and it'll start to even get sick. And then there will come a time beyond repair, and it will die. The battery will die. But this is a natural process that happens to the body. But when you personalize these bodies, which is very unpleasant, no one wants to die, no one wants to get sick, no one wants to get old. But we have to associate that. Apriya sampayogo dukkho. We don't want that. That's very apriya, but we have to. So that will create mass of suffering. And what we like, piya vipayogo dukkho, we like to be youthful, young, very healthy, not die, but we can't. With the time, that will set off, and jati, jara, vyadi, marana. So there is this mass of suffering that comes with this. Yam pichang nalabati tampi dukkang. Our wish is to be, every day young and so strong and keep everything under our control and not to get sick, not to die. But we can't have that wish. It's only wishful thinking. It's just a matter of time that it will go against our wish. So that brings a lot of stress and suffering when we can't have the things the way we want. So Buddha points, when you tie this to this equation, mass of suffering that comes with that. So jati, jara, vyadi, marana, when you go against this process, and that's because of this sense of I, we don't like it, we get afraid. So what produces then the mental stress? Soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, upayasa. Soka is that initial stage, that your reaction. Soka, parideva is when you keep it prolonging that reaction. Then dukkha, domanassa. If you keep on emotionally reacting to what's happening to you instead of equanimously facing the pleasant or the unpleasant, but if we keep on reacting, a lot of hormones come, the chitta starts to, shake. Chitta vega, a lot of the pancha nivana, a lot of the 5 hindrances come. And the moods starts to swing. Moods will start to go out of your control. And a mood means we have a lot of hormones in the body. It's the hormones that creates a mood, and the hormone is designed to do some work. Some of them will give an instant burst of energy, some will increase the heartbeat, some will raise the pressure, some will tense the muscles, whatever that is designed to. It will do that, and it's going to create very unpleasant, very stressful experience. So more we experience the things this way, and we start to react emotionally, soka parideva will lead to dukkha domanassa. There the dukkha is the pain and stress and suffering in the physical body. Domanassa is what the mind experiences. So at this stage, it's like your mind is out of control. The emotions will just start to happen automatically. People, when they come to this stage, they don't think of being sad. The sadness comes, the slightest thing, the tears come there, they cry. To the slightest thing, they get angry. To the slightest thing, they develop anxiety, worries. So here, around that stage is what we call the clinical depression or the depressive state. So if you continue like this, instead of bouncing back to the reality and accept the reality and face it with a stable mind, we just go with emotions. Soka parideva dukkha domanassa upayasa. That is the stage of exhaustion, where we start to exhaust our energy. Physically, mentally drained. No more energy. So person will start to just sleep, not interested in anything. Slowly, slowly, they will even not have interest to eat. They will give that up. And slowly, slowly, the thoughts of the suicide will come to the mind, and they one find it, they can even suicide, end the life. Or naturally, the life can come to an end because they don't have energy. So this is how this mass of suffering comes to be, when we are so ignorant about what's happening. So Buddha is showing this. Eva me tassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti. But this all started with avijja, not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Every experience, when you experience, when the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind produces experience, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, if we remain ignorant, we create avijja paccaya sankara. In that ignorance, we create the wrong sankara. Wrongly we construct things in the nicca sukha attha way, not knowing the reality of the rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana. We don't see the nama rupa, how they arise and how they pass away. We don't see the paticca samuppada. We create a world of our own. That's why Buddha said putakjano ummattako. It's not matching the reality. It's just only mind made. It's like fantasizing, daydreaming. But only if you develop that wisdom and see this and get the light, get that vijja, you start to see, you start to build your sankara in the right way, that every experience produces anicca, dukkha, anatta. That is the characteristic. So it is in that Buddha took that dukkha, Four Noble Truths, highlights the dukkha, because that is where we experience. Anicca and anatta, it's analytical. You come to a conclusion using the mind with concept. But dukkha, you experience. So this is why Buddha takes that out. And because it's easy to understand, because everyone experiences that. But Four Noble Truths means we just can't isolate dukkha, anicca, dukkha, anatta, all tied up there. So only when we are not ignorant and we start to awaken to this, we start to see every experience is anicca, dukkha, anatta. It's not in our control. It's depending on the causes and conditions. Only if it's there, this will come to be. If it's not there, this will not be there. And as a result of this dependent origination, it produces stress, because nothing is going to be under our control, under our wish. Then there is no one doing this. And this body is not the soul. It's not I, me, myself, or there is nothing static here. to get hold of and say, oh, this is the thing that will live forever, eternal. There is no atta in that way. Only the ignorant will end up in that way of thinking, get caught up in this maya, the net of maya, or that the delusion. But when you see this, you start to see anatta. Anatta means there's no such static thing. Everything is changing and there is no static thing to point in here. Oh, that is I. That is me. That is myself. No. So when we see the characteristics of this seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, cognizing, we see anicca, dukkha, anatta. When we see that, one comes to the conclusion, naturally they start to see netang mama, neto hamasmi, neto attati. This is not mine, this is not me, this is not myself, this is not my soul. Netang mama, neto hamasmi, neto attati. There is no atta, it's anatta. So when someone comes to that stage, that is when we are developing this Satara Satipatthana. We start our journey from Samyak Drushti. When we practice that, the avidya gets shaken off. This sense of I, me, myself, what we produce gets weakened. And we start to see more and more the reality. And then when we keep on practicing this Noble Eightfold Path, that activity, we start to practice the Satara Satipatthana, the four foundation of mindfulness. We develop the 7 factors of enlightenment, means seeing this. Kaya kayanupassī viharati, vedana vedananupassī viharati, chitte chittanupassī viharati, dhamme dhammanupassī viharati. We start to contemplate things in the right way. So it start to see and grasp that netam mama, neto hamasmi, neto attati. This cannot be called mine, this cannot be called I, me, myself, and there is no atta, there is no soul here. So the 7 factors of enlightenment, developing that is what we call developing the vidarshana. When you do that, we come to the samma samadhi, where one start to see that activity for they themselves, how this works. That's when someone gets totally, fully enlightened, fully liberated from this I, me, myself concept, and awaken from that dream of that existing, we think we exist, I, and we awaken to that selfless realization. So there will be physical painful experiences, but there won't be anyone to personalize it and suffer. There won't be any more soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa. There won't be any more kama chanda vyapada tina middu uddacha kukkuccha vichikiccha. There won't be any 5 hindrances shaking the mind. There won't be any shaking of that mind. But what there will be is stability and facing every experience with a equanimous mind. It's called Arya Upeksha. That's what we reach in the 7 factors of enlightenment. That's the last factor, Upekka. So then Arahat has a mind of that quality. Upekka means it's so stable, they can just experience things, they will never react. So that's when there will be no one to personalize the suffering. So no one will suffer there. So free from suffering. That's how the Buddha pointed out to us, by following this Noble Eightfold Path, we can bring this suffering to an end when we come to that realization. So to come to that realization, we do need to understand the Paticca Samuppada in a very clear way. So I just gave you a snapshot, like a summary thing, but let's go through the notes, and hopefully now when we read this will start to make sense to you. Okay. The Buddha taught that our eyes work like a camera. When we see an object, we are actually seeing a picture inside our mind. We often think the world is out there, but the world we know is actually creation of our own mental process. So how it happens is, if I explain to you that, if someone don't have that science background to understand this, our eye has a lens. This is why if we have seeing problems, we put another extra lens to correct the focal point of that lens that we have inside our eye. So when a light ray comes and touch something, it gets reflected from that. And if it's in our visual field is like that. So if something comes to our visual field, it will go through the lens, and then in the focal point, it will create an inverted image, upside down image. And hopefully you have done O-levels, physics, or some studies on the eye, then you will know. So this inverted image is now taken to the brain by the optic nerve. A nerve goes from the eyes to the brain. Now you have to apply this to all the other senses too. I'm just using the eye. So this optic nerve takes that message, and then it just constructs, and then it creates a upright picture. It corrects it, and we see an upright image. It's a mental image. This is why it's called rupa. In our Sinhala language, we have a lot of the Pali words directly taken and used in our Sinhala language with that meaning itself, the Pali word meaning. So we have rupa in our Sinhala language. Rupa is a picture, is an image. When we have a picture like a painting, we say rupa. And the frame for a painting is called rupa ramu. So we use the word exactly with that meaning, rupa. So rupa is an image, a picture. So this picture is a mental picture. This is why you may have seen in cartoons and things, when someone is thinking, they put like a cloud thing and point to the brain, point to the head, because we know it is inside the head. So what gets created is inside the head, inside our mind. That's a mental image. That's called the rupa. And then this mental image, we try to identify what is it verbally. There is two aspects to a concept: image and verbal part. That is what the neuroscience says. When we construct an idea, the neuroscience says we have two aspects: image and verbally identifying it, a thought. So this is exactly what Buddha 2500 years ago said. This is why we have Sankappa and then Vitakka Vichara. Sankappa is this image. So image is accompanied by this nama with an identity, with a verbal Vitakka Vichara. So they go together. So this is why the rupa is always with nama. Nama is given this identity. If we don't know what it is, we will at least ask the question, what is it? So how the nama got there is by Vedana, Sanya, using that the sanskara. It starts contracting. So those are the nama component. And it is from Vijnana that gets recognized by this nama rupa. So as you know, avijja pacca sankara, sankara pacca vijnana, vijnana pacca nama rupa pacca salayatana. It goes like that. So this is how the mental image come to be. And when the mental image appears here, we think, but we think we are seeing the outside world. It is the data from the outside world that is being processed here and created the image in here, but we think what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch is out there. But everything what we experience is a mental image. This is why it's called Rupa Rupa, Saddha Rupa, Gandha Rupa, Rasa Rupa, Pottabha Rupa, Dhamma Rupa. That's why they're all Rupa. It's an image. So it works like that camera. You see, camera was created by studying our eye and how it works. So it's very important to understand that this Rupa is created inside. So hope that you understood that part. Let's move on. And you all can ask any question you have. You can write down in the notes, or you can remember, or you can ask. If you like, you can ask now if you have any questions up to now from what I have taught.
Yes, Venerable, I could like to ask one questions because you just talk if we recognize Nama Rupa and right away the Vinyana appear, right? Yes, but in the Samudra, in the dependent origination, the Vinyana come before the Nama Rupa, and I just reflect for the baby. Okay, the baby, they see the image, but they didn't know what is the image. Oh, for the knowledge for later, the baby is grow up. Oh, and that is the Vinyana will come. Could you explain?
So you have started to think there is some things need to be corrected there. So there is a very famous another Paticca Samuppada as well. In that Paticca Samuppada, I forgot the name, whether it's in the Satcha Vibhanga Sutta or where it is. Maybe Venerable Lipap can help me here to mention that name. Normally, Paticca Samuppada goes like Avijja Pacha Sankara, Sankara Pacha Vijnana, Vijnana Pacha Nama Rupa Pacha. But there is another Paticca Samuppada where it goes Vijnana Pacha Nama Rupa Pacha Vijnana. So how Buddha explains this is we can't separate this. It's like two batamiti, two bamboo, two piles, bamboo piles. They cannot stand on their own. So when you lean them each other like this, they support each other like this. So Vijnana doesn't exist without Nama Rupa cannot exist without Vijnana, because when the Salayatana starts to activate, Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha Uppajjati Chakku Vijnana Tinnang Sangati Passo. So what happens, it's like we can visualize like this. There is a whiteboard and someone starts to write in the whiteboard. Until you see it, you don't know there is anything in the whiteboard. So seeing that, recognizing that is like the Vijnana. So only when there is Vijnana, we know the Nama Rupa has arisen. Only when Nama Rupa arises, the Vijnana also arises. Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha Uppajjati Chakku Vijnana. Because it's a condition for the Vijnana, but it happens to almost instantly, like together, like we just can't give time, and it's not a delayed response like this. It's neuronal activities here. So to explain, we break it, but it just happens bang like that. So maybe Venerable Lipap can help me if we have the computer to search. Maybe Venerable Lipap might remember that Paticca Samuppada, where Buddha talks about Vijnana Pacha Nama Rupa Pacha Vijnana. It goes into the reverse. So in that, Buddha explains They stand together like this. They will not exist without one another. This is asked by the Venerable Punnamattani Thero. This is in the Sutta, what is called the chariot, relay of chariots, that sutta where the monks ask the questions from Venerable Punnamattani Thero, I think Venerable Sarut Thero, and Rathavinita Sutta, I think from my memory, okay? Where they are asking whether these things are tied together. It's not tied together either. They support each other. Dependent origination. So this supports this, this supports this. Without this, this will not exist. Without that, that will not exist. So Buddha explains like that. So even the baby, when they start to see the colors, that means chakku viññāna. Only if there is chakku viññāna has arisen, you start to see the color. So not that viññāna start to happen when the baby is big or grown up. No, the minute the senses are working means viññāna. If something we recognize means viññāna has arisen. Seeing the color means what seeing is nama rupa. The energy or what sees it is viññāna. Do you get me?
Yes, a little. So they tie together the nama rupa and the viññāna.
Nama rupa also goes together. They don't survive without one another. Rupa always accompanied by Nama. Nama is always accompanied by Rupa. That also like these two bamboo piles. They can't stand on their own. Only when it's supporting each other, they come and support each other, and they are there. So Nama Rupa also like that. Nama Rupa and Viññāna also like that. And Vedana Sanya also like that. They also like that.
Yeah, you
One
explain the
depends on
point.
the
I
other.
understand. You explore the understand. I just miss up because in the dependent original that they said the viññāna become before the nara rupa. That's for me is a little confused because for you explain. I understand. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But,
Very, very clear. What Buddha says in Madhupindaka Sutta, how the Viññāna comes to be, Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha. So those things have to be there first. Chakkuncha Paticca Rupecha, then Uppajjati Chakku Viññāna. You see, without the Rupa, you can't have the Chakku Viññāna.
Exactly. Yeah. But before the for the dependent originate the viññāna before the anarupa. And what is the viññāna? Viññāna here.
Sorry?
Because as the dependent originate, avijja, sankappa, sankhara, and that's the viññāna. And this one the viññāna before the nararupa. And what is this one before? Yes. Thank you.
Let me tell you, a very good question. Here, Buddha is explaining the mental process. You see, from these five senses, first round of Nama Rupa is happening that way. And then that message goes to the brain, no, to the mind. And then the mind starts to process, Mano Viññāna. It is in that start to cognize, give meaning, right? So that is when that we start to develop this sankara, the meaningful thing, something that is that we start to develop the concepts about it. It is like this goes on rounds, like when you are screwing a nail, it goes more and more in, like that. The first vata, the first experience comes initially when it happens, when you start to see the light, initial thing. And then it taken to the brain, and then another round of it starts with the mano vijnana, and then another round, another concept. So you start building on top of each other, this sankhara. Until we end up getting even emotional. You see, so in the Madhupindika Sutra, what Buddha is pointing is a mental construction part. There Buddha points, it is the yang vedayati tang sanjanati. It is through this vedana, when we experience a vedana, it is to that we start to build the concepts. Yang vedayati tang sanjanati. Tang sanjanati yang vitakkehi. It is from that we start to develop the vitakka vichara, the ideas, the concepts. Then we develop the prapancha. It goes, proliferates. And this is how we end up, like the Sankhara. Buddha used the example like the banana tree. One layer after another layer, one layer after another layer. So here what we are talking about, the mental process. So after the initial experience, the vijnana starts. That in that round. You know what? Did you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Because even to an arahant, that first round takes place when you open the eye. If the light is there, this goes and the Namarupa appears. But it will not proliferate. It will not go into the sankhara with the avijja, because the arahat has awakened to what took place. So this avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana does not happen in an arahat. But anyone else who had not seen the reality, straight away after they have seen something, this process starts. See, with the avijja, not knowing how the mind works, we don't realize we are creating our own reality. We start to build, construct. So it is that process. Then construction, the sankhara, the mind starts building or constructing concepts from the data it gets from the senses. Then vijnana, the mind simply perceives what it sees, hears, smells, tastes, and touches. Then the nama and name and the form, the nama rupa. Rupa, the mental image, and the nama, it's that identifying factor. Then the six senses, salayatana. Nama rupa paccaya salayatana. We use our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind all together to get all the information. It's through all these six senses that we process this. And then passa. Passa means that point where we experience. This is more than just contact. It is a complete understanding or recognition of an object as something existing in space and time. Feeling, vedana. So now Buddha is pointing out in this reaction where exactly we get caught up, where exactly we go wrong, is because it is the vedana that we experience. It is to that, whether it's Sapa Vedana, the pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, we start to react accordingly. That's when the tanha comes. So the feeling, Vedana, once we recognize the object, we feel it as pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. Then the tanha, Vedana paccaya tanha. It's that emotional reaction, normally translated as a craving. We react emotionally to the feeling with desire. Kama tanha, desiring a pleasant feeling. Vibhava tanha, desiring to get rid of the unpleasant feeling. Bhava tanha, just letting that neutral feeling be while we think that is I, me, myself, when it's creating the me and the world. Tanha paccaya upadana. Upadana means this personalizing. Normally it gets translated as clinging. This is a very important step. We take the emotion and say, this is mine. We personalize this experience and say, I feel happy, I feel sad. And that personalizing part comes from personalizing Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, or in other words, Nama, Rupa. Then the Upadana Pacha Bhava. Bhava means that because we personalize the experience, we feel I'm the one who experiences this. We are personalized experience itself, but we create an I. Then after we create that I happen to be, it can't be floating. Oh, here I am. It's now in the body. So, birth, the jati, bhavapacha jati. In the Satya Vibhanga Sutra, Venerable Sariputta explains the birth is not just the baby leaving the womb, not just the body itself, the birth, but the birth of the 5 aggregates, Panchakanda, coming to action, these 5 aggregates, also jati. And the acquiring of the 6 sense bases, ayatanam patilabha, that also jati. Mentally, this is the moment we identify with the physical body and say the body is myself. That is that when we personalize this, we only think jati is the birth of the body. But if you go to this Satya Vibhanga Sutra, you will see it's not just the jati is not just used for the birth of the body, but to arising of this Panchakanda, the Salayatana, they all also jati. Jati pacha jara vyadhi marana, aging, sickness and death. Because there is birth, the sequence follow. Jara, getting old, decaying, vyadhi, sickness, marana, the death. In this also, as Sariputta teaches, this is the breaking up of the 5 aggregates. That is also taken as marana, not just the breakup of the body. And the ending of the sense bases and ending of the death as well. Ending of the body is called the kaya marana. But there is other types of marana as well. Because we say the body is myself, we suffer when it decays, gets sick and dies. This is how the entire mass of suffering arises. In the Sutta Wisdom Right View, in the Sammaditthi Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya number 9, Venerable Sariputta teaches the monks that understanding these 12 links, knowing exactly what they are, how they arise and how they cease, is the very definition of having the right view, Sammaditthi. See? So if you understand this properly, one can enter into the Sammaditthi, or one can develop Sammaditthi in themselves. Not from the bookish knowledge, but your own experience. By observing this process happening in our own mind, without personalizing it, the chain breaks and the mind becomes free and peaceful. So, I hope you'll be able to read those suttas that is being quoted here and also listen to Bhante Punnaji's talks, because he teaches this very clearly and precisely. And if you all have any questions, you all can ask me either personally or to this group, or we can talk about it next week, or you can ask now. We have time. Anything you would like me to explain or that is not clear? Is there anything you would like to discuss? If you all would like, because a lot of you haven't listened to Bhante Punnaji's talks, only few. If you don't mind, we can listen to that Paticca Samuppada to refresh our minds about what I said and to go in a methodical manner. What do you think, Venerable Lupap? Can we listen together? Venerable Lupap. Oh, Venerable Dhammadina, are you there? Venerable Lupap, are you there? Venerable Dhammadina, are you there? Never mind. Okay, so you all can ask questions. And I'm afraid you all have to listen to it on your own because I can't see the Venerable's response. Otherwise, we could have been able to listen to it together. To make sense what I said, I would really ask you all to, after we finish this, go and listen to those talks that I have posted there. And to the Venerable who joined today, maybe I'll put those talks again into the group. So all of you can start listening to those too, and if you want, there's more.
Venerable, the talk is 1.5 hour, more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours, so they better listen to their own.
We better listen to it on our own, no?
We have to take leave also.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, yes, I've done my part. Do you all have any questions? Because this is about we using our own brain, we using our own mind, and try to understand in the angle that what Buddha taught. Buddha is trying to use this to show us how the suffering comes, stress comes every moment when we are using these senses, if we are in that avidya mode. So we need to change from the avidya mode when we experience things, when we think, when we cognize, when we experience, to with the vijja udapadi, prajna udapadi. So we need to have that lens. We need to filter things through that lens, through anicca dukkha anatta lens, and come to the conclusion, netam mama neto hamasmi neto attati. So this is something to be done practically.
Yes.
After studied the theory. Yeah?
Yeah, I think this lesson is very wonderful and it's very interesting, but it's also very complicated because if we understand the samudaya or pachaya, yeah, this is like a knot. Yeah, I mean it's like a dot, not by the theories. It's by practical. If by practical we understand, and everything surrounding us will be resolved. So yeah, this lesson is yeah, because it's the mental formation, and that's that you understand. Yeah, so it's not easy. We can learn by heart the 12 linking, but if we understand, we can get it out from one link. Everything is a breakdown.
Yes. Yes. We need to start to see it in action in our experience. How it creates our world, how it creates the suffering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Venerable, I have a question.
Yes.
Which is the most practical and effective link to cut off to prevent this suffering? Which link is the most practical?
This is not like to cut off. We need to awaken. We need to remove the avidya. You see, only if we start to look at things from the Four Noble Truths angle, like every experience is anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is how things arise. What arises is a dukkha, even though we are seeing something nice, we are hearing something nice, but what has arisen is a dukkha. So that yoniso manasikara must. So in order to get rid of the sakkaya ditthi, to come to this samyak drishti, when asked, what Buddha says is, see the arising and passing away of nama rupa, udaya of nama rupa. So that is the technique. You have to see all the time, bhavito bahulikata, after you have heard this from a kalyana mitta, satpurusa sangsevana or kalyana mitta, sota, dhammanu, you get to hear this dhamma, you get to hear this theory, sadharma shravana, and then Buddha says, bhavito bahulikata, we need to practice it. And it has to be dhammanu patipada. It has to be a discipline incorporated to day life and practice over and over. Then our brain, our mind will start to look at things in that angle. There will be a different perspective. So we need to train the mind, yoniso manasikara. It's through this yoniso manasikara that one can break this link. Means from the avidya. You see? And also learning not to react to the pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feelings. We can stabilize the mind, not to be emotional, but to be stabilized. So we will not develop the 5 hindrances, those emotions. So there won't be much chemicals in the brain. So the brain fog will go away. So we will have clarity in that way. So that is called the samatha part. So when you start to think in that right way and not arouse this system, and when the chitta samatha, the mind will start to become tranquil. That can help to gain clarity. But with that clarity, what we need to do is the yoniso manasikara. Develop the wisdom to see this in this angle. And then instead of the avidya, the vidya will come. The prajna will come. And it is through this understanding that you can cut this through. Because until you don't come to that realization, we are dreaming, with things that is not, we are not aligned with the reality. We are in our own mind.
Let me quote a real life, let's say, experience. If one who loves to eat durian, or maybe not durian, maybe drink coffee, okay? Most people would love to take coffee every day, right? So we know that too much of coffee is no good. So how to that's what I'm trying to say, which is the most practical link to cut off, let's say, to remove addiction of coffee.
I got it. So this is why Buddha says there's another practice. There is many practices can lead to here. So we need to know where our most weakness is. If we are still at the level we think kama sappa, or the pleasing the senses is what going to bring happiness, we need to attack that level. So we have to start to think the consequences of going after pleasing the senses. So we have to contemplate the adinava of this going after this kamsapa. For kamsapa means we are trying to get hold of the pleasant feeling and then through the five senses please it and then get the relaxation and happiness through that way. And but the problem is this is very temporary. And more we try to use this, we are arousing the system, we are giving stress to the nerves. And also we cannot have just a pleasant feeling all the time. So it's a fruitless thing. But we get addicted more and more. So we will have to go more after more and more. We have to increase the dose or increase the activities. But they're all only temporary, but they give more stress and tiredness and suffering while it's giving you a little bit of pleasure and happiness. And the worst part is this kama vitarka will develop this kama chanda. It is this kama chanda, the desire for sensual pleasures, that will lead to the hatred, vyapada. When we can't get what we want, when things taken away, when we have to associate with what we don't want. And Buddha explains this. It is from the desire, wanting to have only pleasant feelings through this karma senses and experience. And it leads to ill will. And then it leads to tina midda, then to uddacha kukkucha, then to vichikicha. So there is going to be a very chaotic moods, emotions, and that itself will add a lot of speed to the neurons, and the neurons will start to fire. So one will have no control over their thoughts. Thoughts will go zzz, 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 100 miles per hour with no control. It's not they think, the thinking happens. There is no peace. So if we are at that level, we need to start to contemplate on the consequences of we going after this pleasing the senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body, and also the mind. So then we need to disassociate with having to please the senses and try to find happiness in that junk way. I explain to people like, we need to eat food to keep us healthy and alive, but there's two types of food, junk and good food, healthy food. Why we call junk is that it is very tasty, it is very pleasing, but it will not help to improve the health, it will only deteriorate the health. It will not help to live a long life, it will only cut it short. The whole purpose of we eat is to be healthy, to get energy, and to live well for a long time, long life. But the junk food does the opposite, and more we use the junk food, the healthy food becomes boring and not wanting. So the same thing, if we try to get this junk happiness by pleasing this with kama vitarka, vyapada vitarka, hinsa vitarka. In the Dveda Vitarka Sutta, Buddha says there's two types of thinking. One is this wanting to have this junk happiness through developing kama vitarka, vyapada vitarka, hinsa vitarka. So Buddha says that needs to be given up. It's wrong. It arouses emotions, it develops pancha nivarana, these five hindrances, and it takes away us from this nirvana, this unshakable state of the mind. It takes us away. So we need to give that up, the wrong way of thinking. They call the akusala. But we need to instead develop the opposite of that. Instead of kama vitarka, we have to see the consequences and give it up and have virya to do that. It's not going to happen passively, because for an enormous period of time we being dwelling in this, living with this kamsapa. So we need to now consciously think the other way around with nekkamma sankappa, nekkamma, giving up that wanting to please the senses and giving up the interpreting things in the ill way is called the avyapada, means the friendly way, the maitri way, the metta way. And hinsa, we need to give up that way of interpreting or forming thoughts. We have to develop avihinsa, means karuna, means compassionate way. So samma sankappa means after you have come to this samyak drushti, we need to practice the samma sankappa. We have to learn to think the right way, giving up the wrong thinking. So that is what the Dveda Vitaka Sutta is teaching. Buddha is saying, monks, from the Bodhisattva time until I become a Buddha, there is one thing that I have not given up in my lifetimes and in this life. What is it? Recognizing these two types of thoughts, unwholesome thought and the wholesome thought, kusal, akusal, and giving up this akusal, giving up these unwholesome thoughts, and looking and finding and understanding what is kusal and developing kusal. That is what I have been doing now. So I guess we need to take that seriously. We need to train there. When we do that, when we develop the Samma Sankappa, so Noble Eightfold Path, that is the path we have to follow. That is the activity we have to follow to break this link, break the avijja. It is by practicing Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Sankappa is the second step. Start thinking in the right way. And when you, Samma Sankappa, when you start to develop that right thinking, which we spoke about last week, the Noble Eightfold Path, then you will start to talk in the right way, act in the right way, live in the right way, leading to not being emotional and agitated, but leading to be peaceful, having a tranquil mind, having a sharp, clear mind, giving the factors to develop the Vijja and Prajna, wisdom, and that light. So, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva is that right way of practicing the proper speech, harmonious action, harmonious living, leading to peace. So there is not one thing we have to do. This is a way of life, as you can see. Change the way you're thinking, supporting to get this result. Change the way you talk, act, live. So no more of hurting, harming anyone, or not developing any stress to others or to oneself. We practice what is going to lead us to be relaxed and peaceful in the right way, not in the junk way. Because if we stop stirring ourselves, if we stop stirring this system, if you let it cool down, naturally the baseline will come to a relaxed, peaceful, happy state. At the moment, we are not in that state because stirring and we are giving stress. So we are always tired and suffering. So we need to give up what is creating this stress and suffering. So this is why the Noble Eightfold Path starts from Samma Ditti with this understanding. Practically what you have to do, Samma Sankappa, that will lead to Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva. Then it will come to Samma Vayama, where you have to practice the 4 types of efforts, not allowing unarisen, unwholesome thoughts to arise. If an unwholesome thought arises, you have to straight away kick it out, get rid of it. Prahana, you have to Sangvara, you have to guard your senses and not allow any unarisen, unwholesome thought to arise. You have to get rid of if any unwholesome thought comes to your memory, Prahana. Then develop the unarisen wholesome, that is practicing Saptabojjhanga, practicing Kusala, practicing Satara Satipatthana, translated as the 4 foundation of mindfulness. This is in Sabbasava Sutra. How do you do this? Kusala Supasampada, that is the Vidarshana part, develop Saptabojjhanga, Satara Satipatthana. So when you start develop this unarisen, unwholesome thought, then we end up practicing and maintaining that arisen wholesome thought until it comes to the maturity, until the 7 factors of enlightenment come to the maturity. Sati, Dhammavichaya, Virya, Priti, Pasadi, Samadhi, Upekka. So then it aligns with, so Samma Vayama, when you do that, Samma Vayama in the right way, it'll bring the mind, purify the mind and tranquilize the mind. And also it'll start to, when we start to develop this Sati Dhamma Vichaya, the wisdom, when you start to look into in the right way over and over full time, wisdom will start to mature. The 7 factors of enlightenment will start. So you're aligning with
The Malay words are also there, right? Do you know this? I know.
Someone mic is on.
Oh, like Auntie Beer. หน้าตาเหมือนญี่ปุ่นหน้าตาคุณพวงเหมือนญี่ปุ่นไม่เหมือนญี่ปุ่นเหมือนอินเดียเลยไม่ดำอินเดีย
I think
ไม่ดำยังไม่ได้ดำหมดนะ
someone's mic is on. Can you all switch it off? Thank you. So when you start practicing the Samma Vayama properly, you align with Samma Sati. And when you practice the Samma Sati, the 7 factors of enlightenment gets developed and you end up in Samma Samadhi. And Samma Samadhi starts from 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, 4th jhana is called Upekka. So the Saptabhajjhanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment will come to maturity when it develops up to the Upekka stage. And who is left is an Arahant, who have broken the Avinja, who have broken this. You know, it's not links. It is how this activity take place. It started with Avijja, how to get rid of the Avijja and develop the wisdom to be able to think with Vijja. The technique is Noble Eightfold Path. So it is not just one thing you have to do. This is a range of things you have to do. This is why you need the Samma Ditti to understand what you have to do. Then all done. So that is the technique. Majjhima Patipada. Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo. This is the only way. We got caught up in the history about this meditation, that meditation, watching the breath, samatha vipassana. But the actual path is Noble Eightfold Path. This is what Buddha kept saying from the day that Buddha got enlightened. And from the first day that Buddha started teaching, Buddha said, practice Noble Eightfold Path. That is the technique, which we have not been practicing. We have studied theoretically, but we haven't practiced. But that is what we have to practice. That's when we will be able to break this link, Avijja. When you break that, that's it. The rest gets disconnected.
Okay, thank you. Venerable, so under Samma Sankappa, the first Nekama. Nekama, does it refer to only renouncing all your sensual pleasure?
Yes, Kamsapa, Kama Vitarka.
So it's only sensual pleasure. Anything else?
Not only sensual pleasure, but anything to do with karma. You know, any pleasure, pleasing the senses, finding happiness, any wrong ways of relaxing is called the Kama Sapa.
Okay, thank you.
We need to resort to get the proper relaxation and happiness through giving up the sense of self, through giving up greed, hatred, and delusion, through activating our parasympathetic. And when we loosen more and more the ego, the sense of I, sense of me, myself, our body goes into the parasympathetic and it'll activate the third eye, it'll activate the pineal gland. It'll bring relaxing hormones naturally to the body. It will bring comfort to the body. It will bring happiness to the mind. for free. It's called the Niramisa Satuta, Sukha, Priti Sukha. So we need to practice that. We need to experience that giving, but it's like a seesaw. While you are greedy and while you have the desire to experience the kamsapa, this path is closed. Only when you give up the kamsapa, this side will go up. The parasympathetic will start to work. I think I explained that in the first and the second classes. I think if you can go back, you can start listening, or you can, if I didn't explain it properly, you can ask again. But did you understand what I said?
Yes, Venerable.
Yeah. In order to have the desire and the space in the stomach to eat the good food, healthy food, we have to give up eating junk food, right? While eating junk food, there is no space in the stomach for the good food, and there's no desire, because the healthy food is going to be boring, because it doesn't give that spark, pleasure straight away. So, this is why we have to cut off this kama vitarka, wanting to have the that relaxation and pleasure, happiness through pleasing the senses, because pleasing the senses itself is stressful. Itself takes a lot of energy, a lot of stress. It puts the system under stress. So what Buddha is saying is, if we understand this, we have to straight away stop that nonsense and give this relaxation, rest, and use senses only for the meaningful things. Minimum and only to meaningful things. Do you get me? This is why Nacha, Gita, Vadita, Visuka, Dasana, Mala, Gandha, Vilepana, Dharana, Mandana, Vibhusanattana, all those things are there to train the mind to give up this going after the sensual pleasures, Kama Vitarka. And we have to give up the Kama Vitarka, Vyapada Vitarka, Hinsa Vitarka, all of them. Because they all stir us. We need to stop stirring the brain, the mind. That's when naturally it will start to relax, and peace and happiness will come more and more. We start to realize the selflessness. More and more our activity, the thinking and the concepts and everything will take us into the parasympathetic, and it will relax us naturally. So you get the natural relaxation and comfort and peace of mind and happiness. So someone asked a question about the praise and the blame and how not to, get shaken by the blame or something like that. I just read while I'm talking. So, puttassa loka dhammehi chittang yassana kampati asokang virajang kemam etam mangalam uttama. So Buddha is saying, normally, normal people's mind shake amidst these vicissitudes of life, Ashtaloka Dharma, praise, blame, gain, loss, fame, ill fame, happiness, suffering. When the things go the way we like, we get very elated and happy. When the things we don't like, we have to face, that's when we start to have a nose dive and even bury ourselves in the ground. Jump up and down with emotions. So, when someone walks the Noble Eightfold Path, this is the path that stabilizes the mind amidst these vicissitudes of life, because you're starting now from Samyak Drishti. It is the sense of I, me, myself. More and more we are selfish, self-centered, egoic, and we develop everything. We develop the concepts using Kama Vitarka, Vyapada Vitarka, Hinsa Vitarka. More and more we will become selfish, and our body will go in the sympathetic, into the survival mode. and to fight or flight reaction, we end up with more groggy mind, with brain fog, kamachanda, vyapada, tina midda, uddhacca, kukucca, vicikicca, all these 5 hindrances. That is what's going to block our clarity, our wisdom. So, when we start from Samyak Drushti, we have corrected now the way we think and all that. When we do that, we don't get emotional when we think in the right way. Nekkhamma sankappa, avyapada sankappa, avihisa sankappa. Those are the concepts, thoughts that we are going to use now when we interpret our situations, experiences. So when we do that, think in the right way, we are getting rid of the akusal, unwholesome thoughts, and we are developing the wholesome thoughts. When we do that, the 5 hindrances will not develop. So more and more clarity and peace of mind will come. So more and more we have that stability. That's when we become stable and we can face the vicissitudes with equanimity. And this can be reversible for a normal person. But if you're in the Noble Eightfold Path and you're following that, you're becoming a stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and then Arahant. It's Arahant whose mind will not shake at all. It has stayed in that Arya Upeksha. Remember Sapta Bojjanga, the 7 factors of enlightenment, what got developed at the end is Upekha. And Arahant's mind will stay in that level, very balanced, tranquil state until he passes away. But the ones who are before that state, more we practice this path, Noble Eightfold Path, and more you get rid of the 5 hindrances, more you keep the mind pure, you will come to this Samadhi Dhyana levels. And that is a very stable level where you will not really react. When you become an Anagami, you get rid of Kama, Raga, Patiga. So there is no desires, there's no these reactions to the unwholesome things. Patiga is gone. So if you really want to have a stable mind, you need to seriously focus on walking on the Noble Eightfold Path, then it will happen. Before that, if you bring your mind to a Samadhi level, yes, that will also stabilize your mind. But it can be reversible. But if you walk on the Noble Eightfold Path and you get there, it's non-reversible. So that's the direct way, and that is how you should come to that. But there is temporary ways as well. Like you start to think in the opposite way, you know. I think you especially ask how not to react to blame and all that. One of the methods is to, you need to not to get elated by praise, because they're all from ego. If you do something and you expect, then if you don't get it, you get upset. And more, if someone blames, you get more upset. Because it's all based on I, me, myself, and me wanting things. So what you have to do is learn to practice this, and we are practicing selflessness. We are giving up our selfishness, ego, self-centered way. So we are doing service, whatever we do as a service to help another who is suffering, and we want to elevate their suffering. We see someone who needs help, we are there to help. So we are there to do something, not to get praise or blame. So whichever comes, whether it's praise or blame, that's nothing to do with us. We just act, we just do things because it's needed, it's a duty. That's all. So we need to keep that in mind all the time and not count on praise or blame. So if you're not looking for praise, when the blame comes, you can tell that is also nothing to do with me. This is how the people see. Let them comment. They have freedom of speech. So who cares? if you personalize it, that's when the problem is. So either you can come to that vidarshana, what you heard, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, Nama, Rupa. They only come with causes and conditions. When it fades away, it's gone. Or you can see it as, it happened in the past and no point me churning the past, it's gone. There's many angles that you can teach yourself. You see, that will bring you to a stable mind, not to react. Because it's 7 o'clock, I thought of stopping. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock. Can we stop? A lot of people have to leave. Can we share the merits and stop here, if it's okay? And we can take this discussion for the next week as well, if you like, okay? But make sure you listen to the Dhamma talks. Okay, so I would like to share the merits with the Devas and also with all the departed relatives, friends, our devotees, and also with all living beings. Whatever the merits that we have created today, may these merits bring causes and conditions for all of them to find comfort, peace of mind, and happiness from wherever they are. May their experience be born in good realms, and if they are already in a good realm, may they experience happiness and may increase. And one fine day, may they all be able to listen to the Dhamma and penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and understand the Dhamma and live by the Dhamma and find freedom from suffering. And also let's make the aspiration that all these merits that we generated today bring causes and conditions for us to find the association of the wise and the good, but not find the company of the wicked and the foolish, not the Satpurusha company, but let us find the Satpurusha company, wise and good, until we attain Nibbana. Keep that aspiration in the mind, and also let us aspire that may all these merits bring causes and conditions for all of us to penetrate into the Four Noble Truths and understand this Dhamma, and to liberate our minds from all defilements and all kilesas and all the emotions, all the unwholesome, and purify the mind and develop the wisdom and come to that realizing the selfless state and experience the bliss of Nibbana. So let's keep all that aspirations in the mind as well. Okay, so we wish all of you good health, long life, and your Dharma Prachara or the whatever you all do to for the spread of Buddhism. May you all be supported, guided, and may you be able to reach the four corners of the world and teach this Dhamma. And while you experiencing the fruits, while living peacefully and happily, may you be able to help many who are suffering, and may you be able to get enough support in order to do your own practice and to serve the world. So we wish all of you good health, long life, prosperity, and the path and the fruit, and experience the bliss of Nibbana in this very life. And I also Vandami Arya, the senior bhikkhunis, so much merits for giving me the opportunity to teach. And may you also attain the bliss of Nibbana as soon as possible. May you all be well, comfortable, peaceful, and happy. Sukhiyo tu. Peruan Saranai. Okay. Are you there, Venerable Lisa?
Thank you, Venerable Bodhicitta. We end the class now, and see you again on Thursday with the Vinaya class.
See you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you. Take care.